Okay.
All right, we're good.
And we are live. The Squadkast.
Wow.
What up, fellas?
The cast is back. It's a video cast. It's a ZOOMKAST.
Return of the cast.
Quarantine cast. Dirt Malone.
Everybody's in their own little quadrants. This is pretty funny.
Dirt, we need a close-up of the hair.
There it is. Dirty blonde. Getting Rudy here. Rudy Giuliani over here.
I can see his roots.
You're like very Stone Temple Pilots looking.
Right, a little bit STP, yes, a little 90s grunge look.
Yeah, you got a little like alt-rock 90s, you know.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I feel like sometimes I'll just whip it out where I'll be like, it's Friday night in the city of lights and my best friend is my mother. And that's how I go around the house.
Now you've got the hair to match.
Yes, exactly. Indeed. You can back up the aesthetic.
I'm gonna keep it, I think. I'm gonna trim it a little bit and it's gonna turn into like Frosted Tips.
That's your rap.
Then it becomes boy band.
Yeah,
you're known in the streets as Frosted Tips.
Young Tips.
Exactly, Young Tips.
What up, fellas? What's going on?
What is going on? Holy cow!
What up,
all right,
GCode Nation?
Shout out to GCode Nation. So I got an email today, and it turns out that school is off officially for the rest of the year in New Jersey.
Yep.
Wow.
So it's official now. It's official now. It was speculative at one point, and we weren't sure, but now it's like done deal. No more school for the remainder of the year.
I mean, you see,
were they going to reopen it and people go to school? For like
no, of course, but it's still kind of surreal that you get the word like it's official. You know, it's crazy, unbelievable.
You know, it's all of like so New York, New Jersey, all these states are kind of like they have this little coalition now.
Yeah,
because like the thing that I saw is that like this is kind of like pissing in the pool. It doesn't matter if you're not doing it, if the person next to you is.
Of course.
And so all the like these neighboring states in our region are working together because otherwise it doesn't work. But a couple of weeks ago, New York City canceled all events for June. And when I saw that, I'm like, all right. So like they didn't do that in a vacuum. Everybody's going to work. Like they did that knowing full well that like all these states are kind of unofficially working together and making these decisions. So I don't think we're going to see like major events in school or anything like that.
I saw something recently similar, and I'm trying to think of who it was, but somebody had canceled everything till like July 20 something.
Right.
I don't know what state it was, but they had whatever events that were they were intending on having. What do you say?
Was it Germany?
No, it was France. Yeah, you're right. It was Europe. France had scheduled. They canceled all scheduled events until like the 20 something of July, which is crazy to me. Sko, you said about you used the pissing in the pool analogy. Just so you know, La Piscina is the pool in Spanish, and I remember it because I remember take a piss in the pool.
Nice.
Or like piscina, pool. So there you go. So now everybody in GCode Nation will never forget how to say the pool in Spanish, La Piscina.
La Piscina.
We're here to educate.
That's what we do. That's what we do.
So have you guys been dealing, tell me something good. So tell me, like Greg, we were talking the other day, and I'll really key in on this. I was listening to some like guy who's got like the ultimate piece of property that's completely self-sustainable, right? Like he's got his garden, he's got solar, he's got like a well, all this shit, and he has like a website and a podcast on stuff. But what he was saying is that a lot of times the challenges of a piece of property cause this beautiful design to come out of it. You know, it's like, oh, no, I'd love to have this, but I could never do it because there's like that big tree stump or that big rock. But then you work around it, and all of a sudden this beautiful thing came out of it that you never would have done if you just had it just, perfectly plain. So I was saying to Greg, I'm like, there's going to be things like that during this time where you change something or you adapt, and boom, you find something or you discovered a new way of doing something. It turns out to be an awesome thing that you never would have done if you hadn't been challenged, or put in a tough spot. So what's something in your lives, both of you guys, that you've discovered or done differently and you've realized, oh, maybe this is actually better doing it this way than before, that you never would have realized otherwise? Is there anything like that?
I'll let Dirt answer.
Shit, I mean, like, I have a list of things that I've just been chipping away at the crib, as far as like, Aaron and I want to do this. We want to make a garden. So kind of along like the same vein as being kind of self-sufficient. But we like bang one project out, and it's not so much as like we have to adapt to it because this is a certain way or this element's in the way. It's kind of like we're just, I guess that there was a playground that the previous owners left in the house. So I got rid of that. We made this freaking garden sanctuary that has nothing in it yet, but it's like primed and set to be fucking amazing. And we're like really happy about it. And then just like doing these little side projects. So I guess that has been making us happy, and it's been keeping us busy, and just doing all these things that I don't think we would have ever had time for if we were, you know, out and about doing all these things, the social gatherings, hanging out with friends, you know, working, going to these trade shows. So I just think just being happy about being able to knock out some of these home projects and just
making the most of it. Yeah.
Sick.
I hear you.
G, what about you?
Man, for me, it's like I always was like super tuned in or turned on by the idea of like going off the grid and becoming fucking like better. Like going off the grid in certain ways, like spending time with myself and improving. Like I've always loved that concept. Like I've always loved the concept of like we're just doing work in the shadows off the grid and nobody knowing what the fuck you're up to and just hammering away at something. And then you emerge from it like a better, stronger individual. So like that's just like my frame of mind every day with this thing. And it's got like a certain like training camp thing to it. Yeah. And so like that's almost like the state of mind that I'm in like all the time. Like it's okay to just like be with myself and my goals and my objectives. It's complicated because now we're homeschooling and we're doing all these things, right? So it's not like it's just like it's not like I'm Rocky out in a log cabin somewhere.
Right, you're Rocky in a kindergarten
I like that.
classroom.
Right, exactly. So it's like, you know, it's not as cut and dry as that, you know, like I said, but I like that idea. So like this process sort of fits into that philosophical frame of mind. And that's the thing that's appealed to me. So like, you know, all the challenges are the same, and we're still, you know, trying to fire on all cylinders to run this business the way we need to and power through this process. But in the midst of it all, in the midst of that, and in the midst of you know, taking on the education of the girls on a daily basis, I'm just trying to find an opportunity to get into a rhythm and just improve every aspect of my life in terms of the things that I need to do to get better. So maybe that's my training, maybe that's my eating, maybe that's my writing, maybe that's everything that relates to the business. And you know, like I said, if you're just going into this entire quarantine period with the idea of like coming out the other end a monster, whatever that means, and like that's my goal. And because I feel like there's so much pent up energy that happens when you're like, you can't really you know, you're stuck in close quarters and you can't go out. And you know, you know, like even things like trips to the store now are like intense, and they're rare, and they're limited, and they're very focused, and you know what I mean? Like it's, so there's none of that going on. And Dirt knows, like Dirt and I, one of the reasons that we've always vibed is that we're different in that way. Like he's more of a gathering, like more like overtly social type, and I'm not antisocial, but I don't like seek that out as much. Right. So like, but even such, like for a person like me, you feel like the weight of like leaving the house is like an event now. It's a thing. It's something you have to plan. You don't just run out. You don't just run out. Now it's like a fucking thing. Now it's a mission. You know, and that's that's a weird state of mind. It's a weird state of mind to be in. So where I don't feel like I'm missing out on stuff I still nonetheless sort of feel that weight when I go out and interact in the world. You know.
Yep. No, I hear you.
So yeah, so it's just an entirely different place to be in, but it suits my personality. If that's weird.
Nice.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, not everybody's built for quarantine, but for whatever reason, the way I think, it doesn't. Assuming we can still do the things we need to do, like run the business, assuming we can still do those things,
right?
Like, then I can make it work. You know, I can make that work.
Well, look, I think everybody we said find a way. Like, it was one of the original messages we were broadcasting, and during the last month, 30 deals, 30 days, 30 plus workouts, like all that. That was us as GCode finding a way. And people will adapt, you know, like our life didn't make it this far for us, you know, because we didn't have the ability like to adapt and live in new circumstances. So, usually gradually, but sometimes, you know, quickly. It could be you know, a technological revolution. You look at cell phones and how much like life changed, even though it seemed incremental, in like 10, 15 years, life is totally different. So,
of course.
This is a much quicker time period, but everybody will adapt. You know, one thing that for me, like I didn't leave the house for a while.
I know you were ultra disciplined in that. And but I think you set the standard where I was like, all right, well, like I would often look at my plans to leave the house framed through what my understanding was of like the rules and parameters that you were trying to live by in terms of like self-isolation. And so like that was the standard. So like I would think to myself, like, I wonder if Sko would go out right now.
No, like to me, the big thing is like, you know, it's still very early in this process.
Very much so, of course.
Kind of arbitrarily, mentally, May 2nd, May 1st,
right.
May 15th. Like these dates came out of thin air and were like broadcast, and like they got into all of our brains, mine included, where it was like, oh, okay, it's almost May 1st, it's time. But it wasn't based on anything that's really happening. It was our you know, like, it's the first of a month. It's the next month. It's the first day. Things must be different than the last day of the last month.
Right.
Let's all go out and fucking have a water balloon fight or whatever, you know, is going on.
Yeah.
Wait, can we rewind? Because what a lot of GCode Nation people watching this right now don't realize is that when we were on our way to the Arnold, we were playing the percentage possibility game where I'm talking to Sko in the car, and he's like, I was like, dude, what's the percentage that the Arnold's going to be canceled? And you're like, 5. And then you start hearing all these news leaks and all these.
By the end of the drive, it was 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And then by the time we were almost there, it got to 100%. So now after that, I was like, holy shit. He kind of knew this was going to be forecasted and came. So now I always look for you for all these things. And you called everything. You called like the hospital overloads, them using like naval bases as hospital bed, like all these things. Well, so whenever you say these things, I look at you like, all right, it's Sko's words.
Well, now, like that,
true.
See, like that, we had, what we knew was that like other places around the world had it before us. And so we're 10 days behind or 2 weeks behind, like, okay, Italy's running out of bread. Maybe I should buy a loaf of bread. Like, that's all I was ever really doing. But now we're at a weird place where so many different regions and countries and states are handling it differently. And it's not like this lockstep, like compare our chart to their chart. Everything's so different. Even North Jersey versus South Jersey, it's declining in North Jersey and going up in South Jersey. It makes a state look like it's declining.
Yep.
Same thing with New York. New York's going down. Every other state in America is going up. It makes New York, like the country, look like it's plateauing. These things are all very tough to predict. But so anyways, I didn't know what to expect. And the only thing I knew was like, I didn't want to need a hospital bed when there were none. And so all Kaylee and I were thinking, we're like, we just got to get through this month, because it's a type of thing where, you know, 2 weeks from now is when it hits, right? Like whenever everybody goes out, it's 2 weeks or 4 weeks later, because that's how long it takes to kick in and spread around.
Right.
So when you see things are going up, man, take 2, 3, 4 weeks. load up on what you can in the house. And that doesn't mean stay in the house. Like, so that's where I was going. Like, so one of the things I recently got over, okay, this shit's happened, ultra precaution, don't want to be, holding my dick when I need a hospital bed and like dying in some hallway, right? Like worst case nightmare we all were worried about. It doesn't mean you have to stay in your house, right? Like just because you can't go to the bar or can't go to the mall or whatever, the gym, God, I wish we could, doesn't mean you can't go other places. And so because of what's available, it's kind of forced me to look in different places and explore some things. And like, it's only been the last couple of weeks where I've like I'm determined now every Saturday, Sunday, whatever, like I wake up and I'm like, I'm going somewhere. And it's going to take me a couple hours and I'm going to break a sweat and I'm going to get some sun or whatever. But like, I'm going, even if I'm driving in a circle, I'm going out.
Right, sure.
And I found like my mood, everything is 100 times better just getting that in. But like I went to a place, man, like when I say I could like walk to it, went to a place, it's like it was either Friday or Saturday early near me. I never knew it was there, okay? It's probably 2 miles from me. You've gone past it on the turnpike 1,000 times. Like the next time you're on the New Jersey Turnpike and you see a sign that says Meadowlands, Giant Stadium, 2-3 miles ahead, you're probably right next to this state park that's like a conservatory for like 1,000 species of birds on this whole lake with turtles and hawks and swans. It's got an observatory to look at the stars in it. Now, like that part's closed. Like, dude, it's like this. It must be like a $10 million facility of buildings and benches and like.
What's this called? Where is it? What is it?
Dude, I don't even know the name of it. It's a Richard something park.
Wow.
And like we just literally like, I went to go look at it 2-3 weeks ago and it was closed because I was just looking for somewhere to like run even because like the sidewalks are full of people.
Sure.
I'm just like sick of running in crowds, and it was closed. So they opened up state parks in New Jersey this past week. I'm like, all right, let's just like shoot down there and see, since it's the closest state park to us technically. I'm like, it's probably nothing. Dude, you could probably do like a 3-4 mile loop if you wanted to run it. There were not a ton of people. Nobody knows the thing exists. And I found like 2 or 3 places like that. I never would have gone there. I would have lived here my whole life and never gone there.
Right.
Never knew it was there. No one ever said a word. And I found like 2 or 3 places like that because I'm looking like off the grid. You go to like, you Google state park. If it's something with like a visitor center, I got an email from New Jersey State Parks. They were overrun this weekend. So everybody's trying to do it. But like I know in South Jersey, I know there are places that are overlooked, right? Like you see something and it says a trailhead for the Appalachian Trail or something, and it's only like 2 or 3 parking spots. Go there, man. You'll get you'll see unbelievable things. When I say like I went and saw beavers building a dam.
That's so amazing.
Amazing. Like this is something.
I love
like,
that shit.
No, like you got kids, right? Like you take them to see that. Like it's even better than a zoo. Really, you're not paying. The animals are free.
Right.
And in certain instances, like I had the whole entire woods to myself. Like it wasn't like I'm sitting there in a line of 1,000 people at Disney World. It's awesome. So that kind of soul food goes a long ways. If this was in the heart of winter for 5 months, and the sun's going down at 5 and coming up at 8,
Sure.
Oh, yeah. And there's nowhere to go because it's 25 degrees like that. That'll be tough.
What's that
right
called?
now we're all lucky.
What's that called? Seasonal disorder? Seasonal
depression.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean like, but that's not even what that's bad. That's not seasonal depression. That'll just be tough on everyone because. If your kids can't go out because it's 20 degrees, what would every day be like?
Well, no, it's like that's the thing too. Like, there's little things, right? Like before I used to have the girls like run routes and throw them the football, and now we still do that, but now we got everybody's got a baseball glove, so now like they're learning how to catch and throw a baseball and stuff, and it's like
awesome.
Like and like we practice every day, and it's like it might be 20 minutes, but nonetheless you're outside and it's like a routine. It's like, we gotta play baseball today. You know, it's like, so there's like little stuff like that. Like, it becomes critical. What's funny is that in the midst of this stuff, and I've said this kind of sentiment a billion times about 100 other things, right? But like things you take for granted, like how important, like how nice it is to just go outside on a nice day.
Hell
like,
yeah.
You know, it's like, and how good it is for your health, for your mentality.
Fresh air, the sunlight. And another thing too, right? Like
healing and disinfecting.
I try to be like, if I say something, I try to make sure like it's rooted in fact, because there's a lot of bullshit out there, stuff around. But when the thing hit in 1918, the Spanish flu hit, right? Boston did better than most cities. And there's a lot of evidence that suggests it's because they were treating people in open air. And that you look at, like, people were expecting Florida. I was expecting Florida to, like, explode.
Right.
And have the most cases of any state in the country as of right now. Now, like, they're not counting everything well there, but still, you know, my uncle's down there. Like, there's people I've talked to down there, and, like, they don't take buses as many places. They don't have mass transit. They're not packed in to tiny rooms like you get in a city like New York City, where you might have 6 people living in a tiny place. Like, because of the cost of real estate is so ridiculous that you have to live like on top of each other, share a laundromat because you don't have a washer dryer, like that kind of stuff. Then you have the subway, right? Like, why is New York City such a bigger problem than, you know, facing a bigger problem that Florida has? And I really think like their society functions differently, right? Like they get in a car and they go somewhere with 1 or 2, you know, with maybe one other person in the car. Instead of New York City, you're in a subway car. I don't care who you are. You're taking the subway at least a couple times a week, which means you're getting into basically a tractor trailer with 100 people in it.
Bro, it's like human trafficking on the fucking train.
Right.
Like, we were coming from Astoria at that time, and I was sitting there, and I was crotched.
Yeah, you got crotched in the face.
I got crotched in the face. Dirt Malone, I'm sitting there.
That's just when somebody's on the pole and they're like this on you, right?
Yeah, I'm sitting there, and there's a European man while I'm sitting there who is completely unaware of the proximity of his taint to my face. And it's like, bro, and it's like and in those situations, right? Like you understand why people go postal, right? You're on a crowded subway. It's like you just want to yoke somebody up, but he wasn't even entirely his fucking fault because it's such cramped quarters. Have you ever seen the trains in Asia where it's like literally
saying that? You see those videos where like pushing guys on, and
dude, it's out of control. It's
I've seen it, dude.
Dude, it makes the train from Astoria look like you're at the park by yourself.
Right.
Like some of those trains in Asia are insane, where it's like literally like crammed like sardines into a subway.
And so
car.
it makes sense when you think of the nature of this thing, right? Which is like sharing air and droplets and all of that. Hospital wards are, you know, not like these big open, you know, things necessarily. People sharing rooms and beds, and let's turn the hallway into an ICU. And now there's 20. Like the whole thing is like the worst design you could think of for what the nature of the thing is. And so to me, like, it's important to keep to yourself, but that doesn't mean like stay inside a room and go crazy, you know? And it doesn't mean like go out to the bar with 1 million people either. Like, but I think we can find, and we should find ways to adapt and work around this stuff. Like, I do believe like the bar at the street from me could set 5 bar stools out on the curb, get a permit, let the city allow them, have open air, and, you know, do that.
That was my gut instinct when you were saying that too. Like Florida, to me in my head, I feel like Florida's got more like outdoor stuff going on, right? Like where the bar has like a concert and it's in like it's on a patio and there's more like open air things happening. Right. Like just on
even if you have people over, you go out on the balcony instead of sitting in your living room. You can like the way that you have family visit is different down there. You know, you have a family event here and it's 30 people inside of, you know, around a TV watching football. Down in Florida, they could go outside. And so now it gets different now because of the season, but just in terms of lifestyle, like, you know, we need to move towards that. I think that we will, and those businesses that can, like you even see like Attilas had EHT. They're moving. They're like, he's naming the outdoor gym area. He's having a contest. Chris had the contest to name it. And he's moving all this equipment out there. And I think he's like ahead of the curve in seeing that. Like, do you want to go to your gym if it's packed, or do you want to try to do something in that area if you're at Attilas?
So he's putting equipment on the turf outside?
He's even on the turf, on the blacktop. He's moving a lot of stuff out there for like a full outdoor training area to lift in. Sure. Not just for like cardio and shit. Right. And that's smart. Like, if I see that, like, that's a gym that I consider going to do that. You know, now not everyone has that ability because he has a unique property, right? But like other gyms, I don't know, like I told you about Aldi up here, Greg. Right. You know, there's a line of people every 6 feet outside the Aldi. Yeah. And in order to go in, someone has to leave. Right, sure. Oh, that's the way it is. And there's a nice guy sitting there at the door with a mask on, and he's like, you know, he's the one taking the carts, and there's someone's wiping them, and they have a system down. Like, we can adapt, and I think we're given a false choice right now, which is not wise. I don't get why it's being forced on everyone, which is like, we either need to do nothing and go crazy and go broke, or we need to fucking go lick doorknobs.
Right. No, that's the fucking thing. It's the thing that's infuriating to me is how you're going to politicize this situation. Because the situation is such that you can have both of these feelings in your head simultaneously, right? You can have the feeling of, this is a very serious situation that we need to take, and understand the gravity of it every day and act accordingly and adjust our behaviors to keep ourselves healthy and other people healthy. And at the same time, be empathetic to every business that is unable to operate currently and realize how important it is that some sort of steps are taken for them to have the ability to start business again. You can have both of those concepts simultaneously, as opposed to one or the other. It's such bullshit.
Because the idea is they create this whole argument that then goes online, and we're bickering at each other and blaming everything. And instead of putting out plans and solving problems, which I believe that we could do. Like, you know, it's a weird thing, but I woke up this morning and I saw like projections and some news and stuff happening. And I thought, like, man, thinking about the open air and how beneficial that is, and how you don't want to be packed in. Somebody should be talking right now about like starting school, like the next academic school year soon, and do like 6-day weeks where like 2 are online and 4 are at school, and it ends like December 15th. And like, don't have school when everyone has to be packed into a room and the doors and windows closed. Like, when kids can learn in the shade right now. You know? And then that would alleviate, think of what that would do for like you, just as an example. If 3 days a week right now, you didn't have to homeschool your kids because school's open.
Of course.
You know? It would alleviate so much burden, and now you can start talking about having an economy and a society. Because even if we open shit up right now, can most parents go back to work like in a normal way? They got to teach their kids.
And the other thing is that, like, for example, if you are able to do your job and not be in an office, crammed in with other people. Now, in many instances, that's not possible. But if it is possible for you to do your work entirely remotely, or much of it remotely, then why the fuck do you have to go to that place? You know what I'm saying? Like, we need, as a society, to start looking at it differently, you know?
And then we can, if we have 75% of society functioning on some level, then we can divert the money to get through this, even if it's the worst case scenario of however many months or over a year, whatever, to look those people out, to take care of the people who can adapt in that way, or their industry won't survive it. But instead, I don't even know what the plan is. So it's like, you know, we just got to do our best individually, and I can't lose sleep over the lack of the plan because I have no control over it. But I do believe if someone's trying to make you pick a camp, there's a more nuanced middle ground there that like everyone in America would completely agree on. everyone.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous how now I see it that it's either a hoax.
Right.
It's either a hoax or you don't care about anyone.
Right.
Right. You're right. So that's you're a sadomasochist, or it's a hoax that doesn't exist. One of the two. Those are the camps now, and it's like so anybody who wants to re-enter society and wants to run their business again hates humanity and wants to see everyone die in the world.
Right.
burn.
People who don't want to starve to death.
Right.
That's what it is.
Right. Or there is no virus. Those are the two fucking camps now that I see online, and it's just fucking ridiculous. It's and the fact that it's just like people pour kerosene on that shit, people in our government pour kerosene on that shit. It's unacceptable, completely unacceptable. You know. Let's talk about something that doesn't suck. Can somebody?
I've been seeing a lot of ingenuity and people doing caring things for each other.
Of course.
And people trying to find a way, and people stepping up. They're making masks. They used to make toothbrushes. Now they're making swabs. You know, like
of course.
A lot of people are stepping up, and I think that's awesome. And we got to know, like, you know what? Like, most of America stayed inside for 2 months. A lot of people.
Of course.
And most people agree to like still try to do something and are ready to sacrifice to like make us get through this. So I don't want to lose sight of that. I'm just saying, you know, like that's just as important as the people bickering on Facebook, you know, like that shit is less important, the bickering, you know?
No, I agree.
And we're going to find a way. Like we've been finding a way as a company. We are adapting. Like we actually had a lot of people order last month. We did like pretty crazy deals. I think that was like a part of it.
Of course.
Now we're moving into mayhem, the month of May.
Mayhem.
Dirt Malone with the pretty graphics.
Yes.
For mayhem.
He's cooking up. And
that's what the Squadkast is a part of, right? Like we're going to start hitting people with some new content.
Yep.
You guys been watching, speaking of new content, The Last Dance?
Let's talk about a little thing called Cinco de Drinko, or as we like to call Taco
That's what Greg calls
Tuesday.
Taco fucking Tuesday.
What's your, this is the Foodcast? Should we not go into
Yes. No, that's it. Immediate transition to the Foodcast. At any point, it can just completely become the Foodcast.
So by time people see this, they'll probably be hit with a graphic.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
And it's pretty much constructing your perfect taco on this beautiful Tuesday, and just what fixings you're picking, what sauce, this, that, and the fourth. So G and Sko, what is your go-to, whether it be simple or a little extra vaganza of a taco?
Extra vaganza. I go heavy on the vaganza.
Yeah.
Go ahead, G.
Well, Sko, but here's the thing though, Dirt. So you know, right? Like I have eaten so many. I have eaten an average size American man's weight in tacos at this point in my life, right? And I know I would curate just a gorgeous taco. I have no doubt. But Sko is sort of a master. Like
he's tacosman.
He's a maestro. Yeah, he's a tacosman. He's a tacosman. Like
you drive to Tacoma.
He is a true tacosman. So like I feel like I'm in the presence of greatness. I feel like I'm talking about basketball drills and I'm sitting next to Jordan, but I'll do it nonetheless. Okay. What's my ideal taco? Is that what you're asking me?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's
a perfect taco.
All right. So to me, the one that I crush most often is ground beef on a hard shell.
Okay.
Hot sauce. Lettuce, tomato, onion, or strangely enough, you can do you can do fresh spinach. You could swap it in for the lettuce and not really notice a difference, in my opinion. Light sour creme.
Okay.
And hot sauce. Pretty traditional, I would say. Pretty traditional.
I'm salivating.
Pretty traditional, yeah. But and then like I'm cool with like the upgrade to like a little sliced avocado. I'm cool with the incorporation of lime juice, etc. Like all that fresh cilantro, I'm all for it.
Oh yeah.
So all that stuff like that. What I provided you was the baseline, and then you could add a couple little things here or there to it. Did I say cheese? If I didn't say cheese, obviously cheese.
What kind of hot sauce and cheese though?
All right. Well, my two favorite hot sauces have a similar base. They're habanero carrot hot sauces. Mm-hmm. So, which are like intensely hot, but they also have like a little bit of a sweetness to them. That Yucatan Sunshine and Melinda's are the two hot sauces that are my favorite. So usually one of those. And then you say what kind of cheese?
What kind of cheese? Yeah.
You know, like I'll get the shredded cheese that has the Mexican blend, but not with the taco seasoning. I'm not into that gringo shit where they're sprinkling like Taco Bell seasoning on my cheese ahead of time. I don't need all that, right? Just like I don't like the seasoning pack from the fucking Ortega shit. I don't want that. Like I want my own seasoning on the beef or whatever. But you know, like I would say like some kind of like Colby Jack cheddar deal, like anything like that. Any combination. Any combination there. I like an array of cheeses. I prefer to not just go with one cheese. I like to maybe have a blend of cheeses. But that's obviously nothing I take seriously. That I haven't thought.
Documenting
I've thought through it at length. Sko, nice.
I need a taco so bad now.
So nice talk. But we got to all take notes. I hope everybody at home is taking notes right now.
Well, it'll be quizzed later.
Yes.
Sko,
I'm definitely
taco.
I mean, they're like different tacos. They're like different food groups to me.
Right, sure.
And like suit a different mood. Like a street taco with like a double soft tortilla.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different
that's a whole different thing
I
to
agree.
me. Then I'm like,
right
now. No, like
no,
so.
The go-to is very similar to Greg's.
Hold on, real quick. I just want to cut in real quick. Absolutely right. Like, well, I'm talking about a homemade taco because he's absolutely like. I think of like probably like Mexico City street food tacos, stuff like that has to be probably the greatest food in the world. Like we were in LA and we were like, all right, well, we just got to make sure we have tacos at least once a day the whole time we're here. Yeah. So that's like even a whole different food group. I was just talking about my homemade taco, but go ahead, Sko. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean like that's like a whole like I don't even try to approximate that with the homemade.
Right, me neither.
Because that's just like I enjoy it being its own separate thing. So. The homemade taco is definitely a hard taco shell for me. Mm-hmm. I don't do like the soft tacos as much at home. I'm not picky about what the protein is. My favorite's probably like a ground beef, but I also tacos to me are about the fixins as much as anything. So like I'll do like a lean ground turkey and I won't miss the beef as much. Like I can get just as much protein, but it's a little leaner of a taco, and I still enjoy it. Then I'm throwing diced onions and Tabasco on it right at that point. I like to get the spice into the meat and the onion area of the taco so that it's not just on top, Yeah. Then some kind of shredded green. Greg's right. Like you could definitely do spinach. You could do cilantro. You could do, not cilantro. You could do arugula. It doesn't matter. Whatever I have in the fridge, really, with greens, like as long as it's shredded up, it's more of a texture thing than it is a taste. And it's just good for you. Try to get something in that taco that's not just the shell, the meat, and the cheese. So, yeah, the greens. Then I'm hitting it with probably some sharp cheddar, maybe like a Mexican blend. Sure. Then I'm putting Greek yogurt on it. Okay. Mixed with a little like cilantro and lime juice.
Oof.
It's like banging. I don't miss the sour cream at all. And you're getting the Greek yogurt, which is like it tastes the same as the sour cream by the time you mix it all together.
Yeah.
And you're getting the probiotics and all that stuff. Pretty good in the Greek yogurt. But then I top it with a salsa and then a second hot sauce, which I usually go for in both something with a chipotle variety.
Nice.
Like I'm using the Tabasco or something similar for the kick inside the taco. Yep. But on top, I'm going for a more like robust flavor kind of deal. And so I hit it with a chipotle salsa and a chipotle hot sauce on top of the sour cream.
Wow.
Oh, and diced tomatoes. One of my favorite tastes in the world, no matter what vessel, is a tomato with a cream. Like when a tomato hits a sour cream or a yogurt or whatever, I love that shit, man. It's the same thing with like mayo on tomato on a sandwich. The contrast is just banging for me.
Jesus.
I'm so hungry right now. Oh, killing me.
Man.
Killing me.
Man.
That was no fucking joke. What about you, Dirty Malone? If you make one at home, what's it gonna? Oh, you know what? I got a side note for you, Sko. We're both hard tacos men, but I think to have the soft taco on hand for the quick construction. Okay, you have leftover.
It's a whole different.
You have
meal,
leftover protein.
I do it all the time.
Right? You have leftover protein. All of a sudden, like 3 steps later, and you are eating an amazing soft taco. Like,
of course,
because you had those tacos on hand. Like, it is clutch and critical.
No, like to me, like I always have like wraps or something, and I'll throw the protein. And I like, it's almost like a burrito.
Yeah.
Really, for me,
Sure.
it's a different food group to me.
Totally.
But I totally agree. Like,
to have them on hand for that little,
that's an
like,
essential. No, I can't
all of a
live
sudden
without.
you're like, all of a sudden you're, you know, like you went from having like a really fucking lame, like, don't get me wrong, blessed to have it, but like a lame, like fucking chicken fucking meal. All of a sudden I'm eating soft tacos.
No, to me, making hard tacos the way I described is totally a ritual.
Yes, for sure.
Like
I think we talked about this on the cast before, where I'm doing it and I'm so hungry that I'm angry and I'm constructing these things, and like I have to make 9 of them, and I'm just like, I'm quivering because I won't eat one.
Right. until you have 10 ready.
I'll have so I'll like it's like tantric, right? The self-discipline it takes, right? And I'm like shaking because I need to finish completing these tacos. And I mean, in my mind, I'm just in a white hot rage.
Absolutely been there, dude. To me, there's 2 kinds of tacos. There's the hard tacos, which I will schedule like 8 days in advance.
Right, sure.
And then there's the mad frenzy soft taco construction, which is like, okay, I see a meat, I'm hungry, this is the vessel.
Yes.
And that can happen within moments of thinking of it. Whereas a hard taco, dude, is like a whole,
now
mental preparation.
And I got to make sure that there's a couple meals worth, so that like so that like I can have it and then I can have it the next day too. Like usually, like when Tara and I will make like burgers or chicken sandwiches or tacos, that kind of thing, we'll make enough so that there's like meals on consecutive days worth. So it's like, and and that's how it ends up happening, where there's like a taco streak going, where it's like you just ate tacos for a week straight.
Can't go wrong, dude.
Dirt, talk about your perfect taco.
Mine's just basic. It's just ground beef.
Yep.
You got your shredded shitty iceberg lettuce.
Whoa, iceberg.
You got your diced tomatoes. Okay. And then you got your red onion, sour cream, and tapatio. That's it.
Sour cream.
Tacos with cream.
What kind of shell?
I'll eat the shit out of that.
Soft or hard? So will I.
I do hard.
Okay.
Just because I grew up on hard tacos.
Yeah.
No, dude. Same here.
But now they got the tacos that's got the it's got the little plateau on the bottom, so you can
the stand and stuff.
Yeah.
Those could hurt your teeth though. They could dig right into the gums, so you got to watch those.
Yeah, the taco grip, the angle, it's all important because you could take the wrong approach.
Yes.
And now you're just holding a handful of nachos.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true. And
you got to go from one side. I like to do the one side, and then I go to the other.
Yeah, interesting. So flip it.
Because I can still hold the center.
Wow.
And no matter what goes wrong, I'm still holding the center.
Interesting.
But if I keep going on the one end, the shit end is going to come out. You know what I mean? Like you get that? Is it you who posted a thing that's like, eat a taco over a taco and you'll have 2 tacos? Because of what falls out into the other?
It wasn't me, but it's genius.
Yeah.
But like the other thing too, right? Like they're saying, like the now angled, the 2 right angles on the taco shell, right? Like they allow you, because like I'll have a plate and then I start running out of fucking room on the plate. And then I also, if they're regular tacos, I have to start leaning them against the other. Like I have to build a little house of tacos.
Like, I'm with you too, man. I get so frustrated.
Oh, dude.
When you're making them, you're just like, fucking shit. And then you just eat one, and then you're
Kaylee bought me these taco holders.
You told me.
She could see how necessary they were. But then I was at the store, at the supermarket. Last time I was at the supermarket, I saw these plates that have the things in them, right?
Wow.
But then have like 4 dip compartments. So if you had like a guac or a hot sauce, or you know what I mean? Like it's like a full plate. So I was like, ooh, I didn't get them, but they're on the radar.
Wow.
Search Amazon for that.
Wow.
So one of the things I made during quarantine, I made 2 baking trays worth of nachos one day.
Wow. I had nachos yesterday.
Do you find yourself I'm like bulk purchasing more than I normally would to reduce the amount of trips, right? So I got like this big, huge bag of shredded cheese.
Wow.
That's like, probably fits like 15 of the little, like the usual ones.
Yeah.
But I find myself like, oh, okay, I bought 12 pounds of something. I'm using it at a faster rate than would be normal because I have more of it, All
right, well, so here's a very Foodcast kind of topic, right?
I'm gonna get some advice. Go ahead, talk.
Yesterday, I made nachos, okay, and Tara's commentary, right, was that she found the nachos, and I'm secure enough in my manhood to admit this.
Yep.
She found the nachos to be sort of dainty, in that I sort of curate each nacho as its own hors d'oeuvre.
Okay.
As opposed to, like, you go to TGI Fridays.
Wow, I just had a vision of, like, going to an expensive restaurant. And then putting the little plate out. Yep. And there's 5 nachos on it.
Like, perfectly executed nachos.
Yeah.
Right?
Exact ratio of meat and cheese on each
one. That's kind of how I build them. As opposed to, like, you go to TGI Fridays or wherever, and you get the nachos, and it's just like a layer of nachos and then stuff slopped on top of it.
In the middle, yeah.
I don't do the schlop. Right. I do like each one is an hors d'oeuvre. So like it'll be a cookie sheet, and there's like 20 nachos on it, and each nacho has the same execution.
A la carte shows.
Yeah, I said it's more of
like deviled eggs.
More of an hors d'oeuvre. It's more of hors d'oeuvres than it is like a fucking
dude.
Nacho.
You could open a spot in like Manhattan whenever Manhattan exists.
Right.
You could open a spot, dude, that was just like, $29.95. The nacho flight.
Yep.
Of like 6 nachos total. It's like the first one has ceviche.
Yep.
The second one has.
Dude, I'm in. Here's the thing: as long as I can eat enough of them, as long as those plates keep coming with, baby. As long as those plates keep coming, I'm fine with that. But yeah, it takes a little bit more work to lay them out that way. But then like each chip gets love. And
dude, I agree.
Then you don't end up with a layer of chips that got no love at all.
No, see, like I do a base layer of chips.
Okay.
And all of those chips are getting a layer of meat and cheese.
Yes.
And then another layer of nachos happens.
Nice.
I do, because there's nothing worse than making a big tray of nachos and you go and you grab a nacho and all it has on it is like a half of one strand of shredded cheese.
Oh, it's fucking sad.
It's a waste.
Now, when the cheese crisps around the edges, and it's almost more of a chip, it's almost an extension of a chip, right? It's taken on the texture now of a chip because it's been toasted, the cheese. That's like next level stuff.
Cheese it.
I'm not hungry.
Not in the least bit.
Dirt, what flavor you cooking up?
This is grape. And you know what's weird? I wanted to discuss with you guys is I feel like certain flavors, I don't know if it's just my body chemistry or what the hell, but certain flavors give me way more energy.
Interesting.
Really?
Like grape, dude, when I take 2 scoops of grape, I'm like, whoa, this is legit.
Wow.
As opposed to like, I'll take 2 scoops of Swole and I'll be like, this is good. I don't know if it's the day or if it's just the flavor interacting with the body.
Well,
maybe the flavor has some sort of like subconscious thing. The way what the taste does makes you think a certain way, like psychologically.
I think it is. I think this brings
emotionally
me to like the Big League Chew bubblegum days where you got it in your freaking mouth and you're sitting on the bench and you're just like, come on!
I wrote about it in the 30 Days of Deals, but the first time I ever tasted Vice, right? I was in a gym by myself, right, after hours, and it was like a day like today. It was in like the 70s,
right?
And like it was like such like an almost like transcendent emotional experience that like now grape will always have this place in my heart. Like, You know what I'm saying? Like, so I have like this irrational connection to grape because of that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Grape's amazing.
Grape is legit. Yes, it's fucking.
Oh, you know what else is amazing? Now we're talking about, since it's the whole Taco Tuesday, Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Drinko.
Mayhem.
Greg, do you start drinking at midnight for Cinco de Mayo, or do you wait till you wake up the day?
See, you know what's funny is that
That's what we talk about.
Yeah, listen, this is fucking what a square I am, okay? And this is what I'm saying, is that I like, don't get me wrong, I enjoy having an adult beverage for fucking sure. I need it in my life. I said, when your mom tells you, "Mate, Craig, maybe you should have a drink," it's a sign that perhaps you need to fucking chill a little bit. So, like, I'm more open to that now than I was when we were like 20. I'm much more open-minded to that now than I was when I was a kid. But the thing that's crazy to me is, like, now I'm thinking to myself, well, fuck, man, like, maybe I need to have a margarita tomorrow. But it's a Tuesday. Like, when we were thinking that it was like Taco Tuesday and Cinco de Mayo.
But is it a Tuesday?
What I'm saying is the only thing I thought of was the tacos. But now when Dirty Malone said Cinco de Drinko, I'm like, oh, that's a whole other fucking, there's a whole other layer to this.
Dude, listen to this.
Under quarantine conditions and stuff, and now I almost feel like a certain responsibility now to
You have an obligation to the fabric of society.
I think so too.
Not be the weak link.
Right. Who
In
didn't have a fucking margarita.
Cut a little loose.
Oh, man. It's fine. I feel like I need to.
Barnegat man goes on crime spree.
Streaking.
Cinco de Crimo.
Being streaking.
Here's what I want you to drink tomorrow, Jay.
Yes.
You're gonna get some tequila.
Okay.
You're gonna get avocados.
Okay.
You're gonna put the tequila, the avocados, some lime juice, some ice in a blender, and maybe a little bit of triple sec if you have some.
Okay.
Avocado margaritas are fucking banging.
Wow.
You never had one.
I never had one.
Kind of like a jalapeno margarita is kind of underrated. Avocado margarita is pretty good.
That is good.
I'm a guy who just likes, well, here's the thing. It's not like I've had enough margaritas where I can start to branch out into the other margaritas, but I've always been the type who just liked the very lime citrusy flavor of a margarita. You know what I mean? So like if I was going to do that, I would go traditional. I wonder if I could talk Tara into that. I don't know. She's a fucking square too, because she just likes wine. So I'm like, oh, let's have a margarita, and she's like, no, I'll just have wine.
Sangria.
I gotta try to see if I can negotiate some sort of margarita.
I know all the loopholes.
Do it right now, man. Get a bunch of wine and then just start cutting fruit, and then by tomorrow,
Greg is gonna get shit-faced by the end of this Squadkast.
I think you enabled me to do so. I feel like it's my obligation at this point.
When are we gonna do next week? We're gonna do a power hour. Greg, you gotta get 7 beers.
Wow.
Midday. And we're each gonna do it
midday.
Sko and I have never done that in a hotel before during a social.
In the lobby. Remember when there were hotels and lobbies?
Oh my God, remember that?
Yep.
And just like people roaming around free. You ever find I find myself watching TV now, and it'll be like, some characters like a politician running for office, and they're shaking like 100 hands in a row, and I'm like, whoa, dude,
what are you doing?
Ew.
This guy is reckless.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, for sure. No, it's crazy.
New world, dude.
It's fucking crazy, and it's crazy too. Like we're only this is only 2 months out from when we were out in Ohio.
Yeah, it's 2 months to the week.
It's crazy.
It's been, I think, 9 weeks to the day when we were loading up the truck for the Arnold.
I put that all in the back of my mind and just got rid of it, just thinking about how much we loaded and how much we had to unload again.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, man, it was quite an adjustment, man. This whole thing, it seems like the innocent days even.
Yeah, for sure.
Even though stuff was starting to bubble up, going to Attilas.
Yeah.
Saturday, I was thinking about that, how I was had a little hand sanitizer on the fucking table.
Yeah.
And I was thinking how ahead of the curve I was.
Sure.
Yeah.
To have the hand sanitizer.
Yeah.
Which is great and all, but it doesn't really.
Right.
In light of how this thing works,
right, sure.
You know, it's like it's not like it's protecting my lungs.
Airborne illnesses. Right, of course.
You know, so, but back then it seemed like, oh man, we're taking these advanced measures.
Oh, it's of course I know.
The world's changed a lot in like 8-9 weeks. It's crazy, but
you know
the good news is it will return.
You know what's wild? Before we went and left for the Arnold, I had to go to a wake, and there was one kid that had a freaking mask on, like an N95 mask. And I'm like, what the fuck is this kid's deal? This is like disrespect. Like, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And now that you think about it, you're like, kid was pretty on point. Like, he was doing the right thing.
Maybe he knew.
He knew. Of course. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you see like in the Asian countries that's like a normal thing.
For sure.
And, you know, I'd see like, I go to the supermarket and see like an Asian guy like with a mask on in the supermarket in Queens or something. I'd be like, you'd always think like, oh, it's weird that you think like you need to do that here, but it's cultural. So man, do your thing. And now it's like that guy probably had a year's worth of masks in his house because those countries were more, they're on the front line. So the 2 or 3 times this has happened before, they got hit and we got spared.
Yeah,
you know?
Of course.
But now it's like a usual thing, you know. I was deep in the woods. Somebody walked by me with a mask on. I didn't have mine on at that moment. And I'm like, I felt like a jerk.
Right, sure.
I'm like, I'm in the middle of the goddamn woods. But, you know, still there's going to be that, you know, there's been that change already.
Oh, very much so.
You want to hear some good news?
I do.
Hell yeah.
My pops, he got diagnosed with COVID, and so did my grandfather, who currently has cancer. He's been fighting it. He's 92. Both tested negative now.
Wow.
That's amazing.
I'm
so happy to hear that.
They both kicked out.
Dude, and it was,
Wow.
And Kendrick, he's healthy, but for him, I was like, he'll be all right, you know. Sure. But for my grandfather, I was extremely worried. He was in really bad shape, and now he's on the up and up. But there was a couple of days where you're just
beautiful, man, beautiful.
It was depressing. I'm like, holy shit, dude, 92 years old. He's got all these problems, and he's beating
superhuman.
It. And a lot of it, it's that mindset, man. It's just being positive and, you know, finding the good with whatever you do, man. It's crazy.
Oh, man, I'm so happy to hear they're doing good, man. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
They both kicked out.
Yes.
Beautiful. It's fucking beautiful, man. Beautiful.
That's so awesome.
If people only knew what mayhem is in store for May.
Let me pull this up. I'm just going to look at it and get excited here.
Gear it up. I mean,
say it day by day. Go ahead, Sko.
Gearing the fuck up.
I'm just going to list some categories of things.
Okay. Don't
First
give them
and
too
foremost,
much. Just tease them.
New things.
New
things
John.
that don't things we don't currently sell will be sold this month.
Nice.
I'll say at least 4 things.
Wow. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things.
Some limited edition Johns.
Wow.
John.
I think that's something people need to prepare themselves for.
Yes.
That, you know, we've GCode Nation has been growing, and we're doing our best to adapt to the growth and still do everything in a smart way. But some things can sell out, you know.
It's true. Of course.
You never know what's going to happen this month, but things dropped, and they might not be there too long. So
get there early.
Yeah, but we're going to hopefully do this at least once a week, right, guys?
Oh, I can't wait.
Drop this for the people of GCode Nation. So we got the Squadkast, ZOOMKAST, whatever you want to call it, happening now. The first really ever video cast.
Yes, it's our first video cast.
Which, like, we should be doing this no matter what society does. This is great to do.
Absolutely.
We got some stacks. Not going to say what they are. We got some Dirt Malone video series.
Wow.
I'm getting the athletes involved in that one, so
nice.
They're all kind of on board, just waiting for things to trickle in. And
shout to the elite GCode athletes and revolutionaries who did a lot of work and
half hour power workouts.
Hour power. The video.
Dirt Malone was chopping up every day. Yep.
Every day. It was a pretty awesome month. We got a lot more stuff like that in store. So new drops, new sales. The quarantine diaries that Greg, you've been writing. Pretty awesome.
Yep.
So new written word, new spoken word, dirt video. I mean, like, dude, I'll say this, like, we're certainly ratcheted things up when tested. You know, like we wake up every day, we're having a conversation. What more can we do? So we're gonna keep finding ways.
Quarantine Diaries is a little different. It's so people know each one is inspired by a song, and it's more sort of like meditations about being in this situation. So it's not so much like these like perfectly curated articles as much as like standard feature article things that I've done in the past, as they are like sort of like stream of consciousness meditations about like. So like one paragraph will be like about one thing and one paragraph will be about another thing, and they're connected, but it's like all like around these central themes, and they're all kind of growing out of like just what it is to be going through this period. And I'm sure there's stuff in the midst of it that people can relate to, because to some degree or another, we're all kind of going through this together. So something different.
Yeah, I like it.
Something different. Yep.
Hell yeah, dude. So that's gonna be included in Mayhem, which starts today.
Yep.
We have well, by the time you see this video, it started yesterday.
Yep.
We'll be open the emails that you get from us. There will be hidden sales and things like that all month.
Sko's like Secret Santa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just dropping some things in.
Sko's everybody's. He's everybody's Secret Santa.
Everyday Santa, we call him.
You know, it's I do it for the ho-ho-hos, man.
That's right. Always.
Hey.
Always.
No.
Oh, you know what else is in store? I think we're going to have some more Mount Rushmore. So what do you think?
Wow. Some more rankings?
Let's do it.
More rankings?
The first three rankings were highly controversial. Highly controversial.
That's what we love, too.
Highly controversial.
No matter what.
Did you see Tall Shady? Did you see his live cast breakdown of the top 25 list?
I didn't see that. No.
Oh, no. He had a notebook.
Did he?
He had a notebook and an incredibly serious look on his face. He had a pen and a notebook.
It's very serious business.
He was going through it and assessing all of the errors.
Did he have a headband?
I believe he might have had a headband. Yes, his hair was accounted for. It was pulled back. He had a notebook. He had a pen. What
was his biggest objection other than no Stockton?
Stockton was the big one. And then there were like I think David Robinson. I think he thought that a lot. He likened Kevin Durant to Alex English, and he said that he thinks that Durant was too high. And I explained to him that the challenges, right, like that we wanted the list to be, we wanted Kendrick to see the list and co-sign it. And Kendrick meaning someone of Dirt's dad's generation to see the list and co-sign it. And then at the same time, we also wanted a 19-year-old to see the list and co-sign it. And so we were just trying to be as fair and balanced as we could.
Throwing bones, yeah.
Right, because we thought that the thing could have very easily gotten very like 1980 to 2000 centric, and if it got too deep into that, we thought it wouldn't be fair to
the whole entire dream team is half of the list.
Right, exactly. So we're like, all right, we gotta balance it. So we did our best to do that. But yeah, Tall Shady's analysis was.
I feel bad about Stockton because in the Last Dance yesterday.
Yeah.
Yes,
I've seen four episodes so far. I haven't seen 5 and 6. So.
All right. Well, I'm not spoiling too much, but just related to this topic, Jordan said, "Look, Magic Johnson's the best point guard of all time, and in my opinion, Isaiah Thomas is the second best point guard of all time. He's number 2."
Right.
That's what Jordan said, right?
Right.
And so, like, this top 3 point guards is kind of like a social media debate now. Right?
Okay.
And Stockton was like not getting on a lot of them.
Right.
And I'm seeing a lot of like, man, he averaged 15 points. He can't be the third best point guard of all time.
Right.
Kind of stuff.
Right.
And I feel bad because I don't want us to have contributed to to us, like John Stockton's like the 26th guy on that list.
Yo, for sure.
And the guys that are like right there with him, there's like 4 or 5 point guards. Nash won back-to-back MVPs. Obviously, Curry's had a big impact. Like, these are huge, accomplished names, all in the same cluster. And to say, like, for Stockton to not make the cut is like not a diss and not an insult. He's like right there.
And my argument too was like that. There's like Irvin Magic Johnson is one player.
Yeah.
Almost in one category of player.
Right.
Then Jason Kidd, John Stockton, Steve Nash are another category of player. And then Allen Iverson, Isaiah Thomas, Steph Curry are another category of player.
Right.
Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, and Isaiah Thomas to me are combo guards. The only reason Allen Iverson is ever considered a point guard is because of his height. He's a two guard. He's as much of a fucking two guard as any gunner you can name. Jordan, any of those guys, he's as much of a shooting guard as any of those guys. So like, they're almost like.
And even Isaiah
categories.
was, Dumars ran the point a lot for that.
And Dumars and Isaiah was the floor general, but he was also a scorer.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
He was as much a scorer as anything else. So it's like there are different categories of players. Whereas like Kidd and Nash are a little bit more Magics. And then Stockton is almost his own kind of guard.
He is, because he's such a good defender, and the way he sets picks and runs the pick and roll, like he's a totally different guy.
Yeah, he's a fundamental facilitator. That's
like perfection at those. It's crazy. I read Peyton a thing that Peyton said. He said the toughest guard. He was always tougher to guard Stockton than Jordan for Peyton. And he said, because Stockton made your life, he said, I would be screaming and talking shit at John Stockton, and he would just stare at me like this. Right. He's like, for 15 years, he's like, my whole career, I'm talking shit to John Stockton, and he would just look at me with a plain expression and then run me into the ground and setting picks like getting hit with a cinder block when John Stockton set a pick. And he's running off picks and making you get over a pick and making you run around and play.
Man, I'll tell you too. Like you think back to your own experiences, like, and I think back to like some of the best players I played against in terms of general talent, and then what it is to play against people who are incredibly fundamentally sound,
right?
And who like never stop moving and whatnot. And if I look back, like I probably had like tougher times against the guys who were just flawless in their execution and who just played the game perfectly. And Stockton in many ways played the game perfectly. So I could see what Peyton probably is talking about. The idea of like guarding the best ever, but it's a different experience.
Right.
And sort of being just surgically sliced to ribbons by a guy who makes no mistakes and isn't going to feed back into the emotional stuff you're trying to do or any of that stuff. It's like playing against a guard machine, a guard robot.
Yep.
Who's not going to make all the human errors you're going to make. And when you make an error, he's going to make you pay for it every time. Like that.
Every time.
You know what I saw from the Last Dance documentary that I didn't really look into? That guard Paxton, man, he was really good. And I didn't even know until I'm watching this documentary with Aaron. I'm like, he's there in like every clip as far as like the talent and just being a really good point guard and a guy that could shoot. I didn't even know.
Yep.
Yeah, no, he was Steve Kerr before Steve Kerr or B.J. Armstrong or Derek Fisher, like whatever guard you want to pick on a championship team where like the guy, if he was open, he was hitting the big shot.
Yep.
And was just like a steady, reliable player. Like that was him, man. He's
very much so.
Jordan had like a bunch of those. I mean, every great championship team has those fucking guys,
Yeah.
The Lakers had guys like Rick Fox and Derek Fisher and Robert Horry. The Spurs had guys like that. Like they're Danny Ainge on the Celtics. Like all these guys, all these great players. There was a debate going around. Put Jordan on the teams. Like swap Jordan and LeBron on certain teams, and like would the team still do what it did?
Right.
Somebody was like saying put Jordan on like the one of the Cavs teams.
Right.
And they're like, and he's beating Golden State that year and winning the ring. And I'm like, dude, this is like slander. It's amazing how people take these things. There is no way, as good as Jordan is, there's no way that Jordan and Deladova and Iman Shumpert and and Tristan Thompson are beating like 3 All-Stars in a 7-game series.
Right.
As good as Jordan is, it would have been like Jordan when he scored 60.
Yeah,
Those teams, LeBron getting to the finals with a team like that is an accomplishment.
Sure.
You know, that would have been – that to me is a measuring stick. Can you get to the finals with those scrubs? You're not going to win with guys like that on the team. You know, like it's not a knock against LeBron that he only won – that he won, like he only won 1 or 2 games at finals with those guys.
No, it's crazy. It's crazy, and he's, like you said, it's slandered all the time by people that I think they just don't have a broad enough understanding of the sport and excellence on that level. It's very short-sighted. You know, a lot of the criticisms of LeBron to me are incredibly short-sighted.
Yeah, like I think he flops because he gets the calls, and
right.
I don't think he flops because somebody knocked him on his ass for real. And the idea that what is he like? I don't even know what he weighs. What do you think LeBron weighs?
260.
260.
And so I think in the Last Dance, they're saying.
I mean, 6'8".
Right.
Yeah, he's 260.
You know.
In the Last Dance, his trainer's like, so he rebuilt his body to be strong.
Yeah.
And Jordan got up to 215.
6'6", 215, right.
Right. But so you're telling me that, like, Jordan could handle the physicality in that level at 215 and 6'6"?
Right.
And LeBron's going to get tossed around?
Right. LeBron's like an NFL tight end.
Like, worst case scenario, he's like Karl Malone in that era.
Right.
You know? Maybe he doesn't handle the ball as much, and he's cutting and still dunking on everyone. Like,
well, no,
I just can't imagine him struggling.
In that era, he'd be like Karl Malone meets Magic. He'd be like he'd be this rare player in that era. You know, just like he's a rare player now.
Man. I don't see how he wouldn't.
And you know what? Here's the thing too. Like, you're a product of your environment to a certain extent. If he would have come up in that era, he'd be tough like those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is the other thing. It's like, you know. That's the thing that people.
I love all like they showed all the freaking hacking and the action below the net, and then also when you watch this documentary, you realize all the cigars that are going around, all the beer drinking, and how much more of appreciation you have for me at least, Steve Kerr and Phil Jackson.
Oh man,
this is them being the man, dude. They were like, they were pretty cool.
Yeah, Phil Jackson's fucking awesome. I mean,
he is awesome,
if you guys have ever seen the Knicks documentary, there's a Knicks documentary that Michael Rappaport did. And it talks about the Knicks teams that Phil Jackson was on. And Phil Jackson was almost like a sort of a journeyman player on that team.
He's like an 8th or 9th man.
Role player on that team. But like the different personalities on that team, the incredible talents on that team, the incredible minds on that team.
Right.
Bill Bradley, and Jerry Lucas, Clyde Frazier, Earl of Pro Monroe, Willis Reed, all on this one team.
Yep, Busher.
You're right, Dave the Busher, and the guy, the squad that they had, the quality of the players, but then the personalities and the brilliant minds. So the fact that Phil Jackson came out of that team, it makes sense almost. It makes sense that he's able to do what he was able to do, you know.
And his childhood and everything, man, just super interesting in how he, it seemed almost pompous and ridiculous. I think from like a distance in real time, the Zen Master stuff.
Sure.
Like as we were living through it, it seemed a little bit like,
Right.
Trying to put a spin on how good your players are.
Right.
Like it didn't seem necessary.
Right.
It didn't seem like maybe it was really the reason that any of it succeeded. Yeah. But now looking back at all of it, it makes a lot of sense. Informs his management style and why it was so successful.
Very much so.
All those guys. He's got this very like harmonious universe, hippie kind of thing going on. Sure. And it makes sense that that's the guy that could look at Jordan and Pippen and Rodman and make sense of a world that has the three of them in it. Because there is three different as they get, three guys.
Very much so. The personalities are completely different.
I'll take the Rodman role.
I mean, you definitely have the hair, dude.
I fucking love her. You come out
I didn't know when he sprayed the 33, it was for Pippen in that one hair, because I remember watching, I'm like, that's a weird hairstyle, but it looks so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
My thing about Rodman too, like, is that I go back to Pistons Rodman, and thinking about those Pistons teams and how as a kid when I didn't understand life, I always say this, right? Like I hated Duke until I knew what life was all about, and I love Coach K, right? I didn't when I was a kid, and I just thought like the Pistons were goons, kind of, right? Like not all of them, but because I loved Isaiah back then, but I thought that Lambier and Mahorn, and then Rodman to a degree, they were just fucking goons, whatever. Until I understood that they were masterful in terms of mind control and the mental aspect of the game and the tactics that they took. They would just own fucking guys' minds on the floor, get them so out of their fucking games, right? And I have such a greater appreciation for them, for those bad boys teams now. Like some of the coolest fucking teams that ever existed. With Chuck Daly. With Chuck Daly at the helm too, who's one of the great coaches who ever lived. It's like just amazing.
And they beat, like I said, Isaiah, they beat Larry, Magic, and Jordan.
Yep. It's true. It's crazy.
You know?
And that's the kind of team that could because of how they played the game. And like I said, in the gamesmanship, the mental warfare that they played was nuts, you know, crazy.
Well, hopefully we get some NBA soon, man. All the sports leagues are talking about trying to find some ways to have some kind of next season even.
Right.
With players unions and stadiums and travel. It's tough, man. So I don't know if you saw this. Major League Baseball was talking about having 3 leagues. At first, they were going to do everyone who plays in Florida and everyone who plays in Arizona. We're going to have like a Cactus League champ and whatever, Grapefruit League champ. Everyone lives down in those areas, but the players wouldn't do it for 4 months. They wouldn't be away from their families.
Right.
Now they're trying to do it so that there's 3 leagues, an East Coast, a West Coast, and a Central. And you're only playing teams in your geographical region. So like the Mets and Yankees and Red Sox and Phillies would all be in the same division.
That'd be cool.
And the Dodgers and the Giants and the Mariners and like all these different teams.
Is it so that no one has to fly?
It was to reduce the amount of travel and spreading stuff around, and so the players could stay at home more with their families.
Right. But see, the problem with it, right, is like that you almost would have to have everyone who is involved in each one of these games quarantined, and not only that, they couldn't be with their families because if they were with their families, then their families would also have to be quarantined.
Right. They were trying to do it at Disney World. They were going to try to have a league down at Disney World and like bring all the families and everyone lives in Disney World and do like a 4-month thing since it's closed.
Sure.
They're trying all of these different scenarios, but I think when you're talking like, it's still early in even knowing the virus,
of course.
Like I have a couple friends who had it and they're still. Now it's been like 30 days since they were recovered.
Right.
And they talk like every day on Facebook and they're like, I'm at 80%.
Right.
Like I haven't, I got over the worst part of it, right? Like I'm not going to need like a ventilator and I'm not collapsing. But, things are a little more difficult than they were before I had it. And if you're like Mike Trout or one of these guys where you're making your money on your body, it's tough to think I'm going to go and just like roll the dice instead of waiting 6 months there's a cure, like it's tough to envision all of the things lining up where you can play a competitive team sport on a professional level,
It's crazy.
But I think they should be able to do stuff like golf or like there should be ways to do certain things that don't like require
motorsports should go, golf they can do. I think they're
you could do it with boxing where guys are tested for a month and they're training and then go in with the guy in the ring. The 6 people you need.
The problem with that one though is that there's direct human contact.
Right,
with
but
golf,
if
there isn't. With golf, there isn't. With race car driving, there isn't.
But there's only 2 boxes, right? So they could presumably a month in advance.
Right.
Be tested, know if they ever had it. If they both haven't, the fight's on.
Right.
Same with your trainers. And now go train for a month and then fight. As long as like those 4 or 5 people and the ref went through the same quarantining, which I'm sure a ref, you cut him a check, he'll sit in the slim room for a month.
Sure.
You know?
No, of course.
I can see something like that where there's limited people involved. Tennis, you know. It's tough to think of like something where people get on a bus or need a hotel or are indoors in a confined space. It's tough to think of like everyone involved on the list saying yes.
Right, of course. My thing is like if the sport does not involve direct physical contact, and it's sort of an individualized sport, that you could do it. But I feel like team sports and contact sports and collision sports, I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it. Like, that's the thing for me. Like, so like hockey, football, especially hockey and football, but then because basketball is heavy contact. That's the thing people don't understand.
Droplets, come on.
These are contact. Basketball is a heavy contact sport. It's not a collision sport. Football and hockey are collision sports, but basketball is a heavy contact sport. So it's like any sport, I feel like, where there's that kind of direct human contact in close quarters. I don't know.
How do you feel? How do you feel about gyms? Like, now, obviously, we know a lot of awesome people.
Yeah. That
depend on a gym, whether they're an athlete training in one, or they own a gym, or they work at a gym.
Sure.
That's like 90% of the people, that we talk to from GCode on a daily basis.
Right.
So I know we're all, whether you have a home gym or not, nothing sounds better right now than being able to go to a gym and work out, right? Like, we're all, there's nothing I'd love more, man. Even if you have 10 pieces of equipment that'll, that 11th thing is what your mind is thinking about.
Of course.
So everybody would love to go back, right? Now, I would think a lot of people just at first won't.
Right.
That doesn't mean everybody, but you got to think, even if it's just 50-50 for the sake of argument, that half the people are not going to be in a rush to go get inside of a closed space with other people, right?
Right.
Do you think the gyms can be, if they take the Aldi approach, for lack of a better term?
Sure.
Like, you might have to schedule an appointment to go to the gym maybe or something?
Well, here's the thing, Sko. We, all 3 of us, are coming out with this app. It's going to be called Grind Time, okay? And we're going to sell it to all these gym owners. And what they do is you go on, this is how we make the money.
Hey, hold on. Dirt Malone. Is Dirt Malone giving away money right now?
Yeah.
We do this
Yes.
We do this every time we do
it.
So we sell them the app called Grind Time, and then a person that goes to that gym or doesn't, maybe they just want to go for an hour, that's $10, and they can go between 1 and 2. If they want to push it to 2 hours, they got to pay $15 or $20. So we sell that idea to all the gym owners, and then they can get constant revenue, and then people can go and get their relief. And I feel like that's something we can do. But do you think that maybe gyms will start doing that, where they limit the amount of people, and then maybe like a pool or jacuzzi, they got to close it down for an hour to clean everything? Like, how is that?
I don't know that you're going to be able to have a gym constantly cleaning itself, but what you might have is like a fire, like the fire department will say this space is for X amount of people, right? Mm-hmm. You could have the fire department go around and say, or just as a state guideline, a gym can only have X amount of people in it at a time, and some kind of personal responsibility to wipe weights or equipment down.
I mean, that's going to be a big part of it.
Yeah.
Right. And you're like, but like, no one's going to be like, how do you have a gym with a spin class with 30 people inside of a room like that?
I think that it's going to have to be, like you're saying, I think there's going to be, have to be strict laws about disinfecting equipment, and there's going to have to be limits to how many people can be in the gym simultaneously. I think that's the only way.
Yeah.
The Grind Time,
giving away the dough. I
mean, look, I feel like we could get to a point, like I could see something making sense, even though it would only mean like 1 day a week, right? I remember during Sandy, I don't know about where you guys were, but where I was, based on your last name, you could get gas. On one day of the week, it was like if your last name started with A through M.
Right.
You could go get gas. The next day, it would be like N through Z. So, like, everyone wasn't in line for gas at the same point. They're trying to, like, divvy up the workload, right?
Sure.
I could see something in, like, stores or gyms where it's like, all right, you're not going to be able to go to the gym. Like, we can't safely have everyone come to the gym that wants to 5 days a week. But that one day a week where you're dying to go, like, you're going to be able to get that now. Right. And the gym's going to be able to get, even if it's like reduced revenue compared to the amount of people
compared to
before.
None, compared to none at all, of course.
Right. Like, what's the capacity at which they can be profitable, right? Like, hopefully we can meet that threshold that they don't need 100% of people come in and pay.
Getting a parking spot at like a community college, and you're gonna have like a lottery.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think there needs to be some kind of like, hey, look, now that everybody is working from home too, like, if everyone's going to the gym at 5 o'clock, like, we're doing this backwards. Like, it needs to be spaced out so that there isn't like these prime time rushes. There need to be ways, to fill in the gaps of the slower times. But it's still tricky. Like, I don't know. Are you going? If let's say there's like these protocols where it's half of the capacity of normal for a gym is allowed, right? And they got sanitizer, and you need to wear a mask even. Let's just say you have to do that, right? Are you, if you have a monthly membership, are you going to the gym
a couple days
a week?
It's hard to say.
I got it figured out, Sko.
It's hard to say.
What's up, man?
MCAS, right?
Yeah.
She has a storage unit. So what you do is you open a gym in a storage unit facility where every storage unit is a machine.
Right.
Vacant, non-vacant, that's another idea.
Well, I mean, I think like air, like free-flowing air, especially this time of year, I think that's clutch. Like, if you have a gym, get the doors open, keep them open, get the air flowing. You don't have to necessarily have an outdoor area, but keep the door open, Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, man. Like, I hope we can find ways to open up some of society safely and smartly, and the things that we can open, take care of the people that would be working in that field as the best that we can, Yeah. And hopefully some kind of balance between the two extremes emerges. But for the most part, up until I'd say recently, the last week or two, right? Like, most people did their job, man, for a month.
Very much so.
Like, the roads were empty. The stores were not backed up. Like, people did the American thing. So we show that we're capable. It just, this idea worked its way into the conversation where it was like, May 1st, man, party on. And,
yeah, I mean.
And so, like, every day we got closer to May 1st, I could see it. You could see it outside. Like, oh, okay, there's a little more people at the supermarket or at the store or cars on the road, People are ready. I just hope we're smart about this and don't unleash shit on ourselves.
Right. It's all entirely arbitrary, and it's not based on anything scientific. I mean, the total number of casualties in the country is increasing every day. So it's an arbitrary number that we've decided that we're over it. I mean, I get it.
I mean, look, we have to sometimes, I think like a certain extent we got human nature at play,
Of course.
Like, this happened in 1918 where the second wave came. Worse. And I think there's something to it where it's like, okay, you ask people to sacrifice, they go in their home, and at a certain point, they're cabin fever and stir crazy, and we're almost all on the same kind of mental schedule.
Right.
And at a certain point, we're ready to break free of that, and then we touch the stove a second time, right? And it's like, I just think that that's kind of baked into how we live and how society works, But I'm hoping we can get the businesses open. Like, the smarter we do this and the more gradual we do it, the better it'll go.
Of course.
So I'm just hoping we all continue to do our little part I feel like it went pretty well for a month in terms of people trying their best, for the most part.
You're right. That's what I was wondering about that.
Eating. Oh, man.
Eating.
This is going to be dirty.
Let's finish strong as always. Eating. Dirt, you got to play the drop.
Oh, man. Can I do it? Let's see.
Can you do it?
Sko's got to send me the clip. I might be able to do it.
You don't have it on your phone?
The dirtiest thing you've eaten soundbite?
Yeah.
Sko, if you have it, I could play it.
If I don't have it. No. What do you mean if I have it?
I figure you have it on your phone right now.
Oh, wait. Hold on. Hold on a sec.
Oh, the dirtiest thing you've eaten sound clip. I got you.
That's the intro. The greatest intro in all of podcasts.
I can do this.
Here we go, guys.
Oh, you got it?
Bad Boy Sunday to Bad Boy Sunday. We got 30 tacos on the table. We're all the 115 breakfast sections. 8 donuts. Okay. Reese's Puffs are better than peanut butter Captain Crunch. They're taking stem cells and they're making hamburger meat. I'm generally a vegetarian. I don't eat shrimp. That's my thing. Fried toast. It's a pretty manly kind of fucking snack. Don't forget cheese steak, egg roll. This whole fucking thing. The dirtiest thing you've eaten. ZOOMKAST.
There you go.
Yes.
We have come
Malone,
to the point.
set it off.
The dirtiest thing you've eaten. So
finish it off. Let's go.
With the whole quarantine thing, what I've noticed is I've been getting closer to my neighbors because everyone's outside. And the other day, I gave my neighbors some mulch because we got all this mulch dropped in the front yard. So they repaid us with this amazing Reese's peanut butter pie that she made, Lady Jennifer, right next door to us. Dude, this thing was an amazing it was like a peanut butter pie. It had the chocolate drizzle. It had pieces of peanut butter cups on it. Dude, it was fucking amazing. It had a little crust on the bottom.
Wow.
Gone.
Wow.
It's already gone.
Wow.
Dirtiest thing and most amazing thing I've eaten.
Wow.
Sko, dirtiest thing.
I'll tell you, the last 10 days have been pretty dirty.
God, I'm proud of you.
I crushed a lot of Wendy's this weekend.
Wow.
I went to Wendy's and went in.
Wow.
Have you had
not just stopping at Wendy's, I got a lot of Wendy's.
Wow.
And it was awesome.
Nice.
ABC, chili, Nugs, Frosty.
Nice. Did you hit the
fries.
Super Bar? Did you take a time machine and hit the Super Bar?
Trying out, dude. I drove past the buffet that said open, and I'm like, a Chinese buffet, and I'm like, I don't know.
Dirt Malone, I think this has been covered on the Squadkast before, but back in the day, Wendy's used to have a Super Bar, where it was like a whole buffet, and
like
you could
a Charlie
pay
Brown type of thing.
Kind of like that, like a salad bar, but there was all kinds of cool shit in it.
Imagine if the beverage cart on an airplane was turned into a buffet, but in Wendy's. So they'd have
there was pasta.
Yeah, they'd have a soft taco
nachos,
shell, and they'd have and ziti. Right? They'd have those two things, and then in between them would be Cheese Whiz because technically you could put it on either.
It's like a buffet line at a strip club. I've been to one of those.
Man,
yeah, there you go. I'm
Wendy's
sure you have
Super Bar, son. That was the fucking
wings.
shit. Wendy's Super Bar was amazing.
So Sko ate the Wendy's Super Bar. All right.
Yeah, I can safely say, as an adult, that's the most Wendy's I've had in a sitting.
Wow. I'm so proud of him right
Nice.
now. It's amazing. That's amazing.
All right, Jake.
All right, dirtiest thing I eaten. Tara has been baking some amazing stuff. Two things that I will draw. All right, two things. One, she made sort of a healthy thing, but it was a healthy version of a dessert, but it was strawberry shortcake parfaits, which is one of the exceptions to my fruit and pastry rule. Strawberry shortcake is one. Right? Strawberry shortcake is one of the exceptions. Parfait style, I like the stacking. Yes, it's keeping a separation of the different entities. But then she made a homemade Oreo funnel cake.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that video.
And then made sandwiches out of them. And in between was almost like a cream cheese Oreo
My God.
cheesecake deal was the sandwich filling in between two like dark chocolate Oreo flavored funnel cakes.
Jesus.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was obscene. So that was the dirtiest thing I've eaten. But the less guilty dirty thing were the strawberry shortcake parfaits, which are the truth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm proud of us. America called on us
To cast.
to keep it eaten,
Yes.
and we have not broke stride.
No, of course not. Never.
We're
Never.
leaning into the eaten.
We take our duty. We take our duty seriously.
It's the least we can do.
The least we can do for our nation, for humanity, is eaten.
There you go.
All right, guys, I got
This is the
one final
ZOOMKAST.
question. When are we meeting in person next?
Wow. Man, oh man.
I don't even know.
It's a heavy question. I don't know either.
I'll meet you guys at the corner of Worthington State Forest.
Wow.
Yo, Dirt, we're gonna
And bring
get Greg,
tacos.
Something
We'll have a taco picnic.
we're gonna get Greg into nature during this.
All right.
I like
Look at
nature.
that.
I like nature. See,
The
I
name-
love animals and I love nature and all that. I if you've noticed, I posted images of us going on nature walks around here.
Yep.
So like, I'm not opposed to any of this.
All right, dude, we're getting
It's
you
a-
out there.
It's a difference between like hiking and like a whole thing.
Well, dude, we're gonna
Like,
get you a
camping
J.
out and all
Crew.
that stuff, and then like
Dude.
having to see other campers and stuff. Like
A
there's a
little
whole
pre-hike,
difference between
a little
that.
pre-hike hacky sack between Dirt Malone and Greg.
Which is why we're donating this $500 check from Patagonia to you, Greg.
Yes,
Enjoy your
Yes.
new lifestyle.
yes, awesome.
All made from 100% hemp.
I got a gift certificate for a new lifestyle. Sweet.
There you go.
Nice. All right,
Well,
fellas.
So this is
Take
gonna
care
be
of you and yours.
our weekly ritual. Will be the new video Squadkast.
That's right.
live
The
cast.
cast.
Beautiful. The cast is back. American
Yeah.
needs the
So
cast.
I guess the
American
way
needs
this
the-
works, is I stop it and then it posts, and then once it stops, we can keep talking.
All right. Well, we're gonna find out. Peace.
Peace.
All right, guys.